Welcome back, everyone. So, I don't know if you've been following this story that's been in the news lately about Lori Vallow or Daybell and her husband Chad Daybell. Give you a little bit of background on this. So, Chad's wife died under mysterious circumstances. Originally, they declared it natural causes. But since then, they've exhumed her body, and they've now determined that she died under suspicious circumstances. Lori's husband, at the same time, recently passed away. He was shot and killed by Lori's brother, and the police then determined that it was in self-defense. Then her brother, before he could be found guilty of the crime, died again, and so then quickly the two of them got married. They lived in Idaho, in the northern part of Idaho at this time, relocating several times actually before they came to the eventual place where they ended up calling home. They had two children. Both of them brought in one child apiece into the marriage. Lori had a 7-year-old son, Joshua Vallow, age 7, otherwise known as JJ. And then there was Tylee Ryan, the age 17, who went by the name of T as one of her well-known nicknames according to Facebook, and friends of hers who are helping the grandparents who are offering a $20,000 reward for their safe return. Now, what happened was last year, the grandparents, I don't want to say overstepped their bounds, but they were definitely worried about the children. And the lack of communication that the grandchildren were having with the grandparents, especially after the tragic events that had transpired in both these children's lives. The grandparents wanted to keep in touch with them, reach out to them. So when they did that, the communication slowly tilted off to the point where they were going weeks, months without talking to the grandchildren, and they were worried. So then eventually all the communication stopped, and the grandparents said, okay, there's something going on here. That and Lori was becoming more and more erratic and preaching more to them about scripture and doomsday scripture to them during their communications, and then saying when the grandparents called, well, the grandson's not here right now. He went to Arizona to stay with friends, but not wanting to tell the grandparents where in Arizona he went. I'm going to put up a map here that you should see here in a minute. That is, every one of these red dots that is on this map is where eyewitnesses, accountings like they may have appeared. Now, there are Oregon, California, Utah, Nevada, and Washington State are where these, and a couple in Idaho. But these are the places where people think that they've seen them, either one or both of the children. So now we're going to fast forward through this twisted thing. Mom is getting more and more into this doomsday prophecy. As a matter of fact, Lori Vallow now believes that she has spoken to God, and God has given her a direct message to lead those who are weaker in her flock. And this is an exact quote that what she said in a letter to one of the grandparents, that to lead those who are weaker within her flock to a safe place for the second coming of God. And that second coming is supposed to be in July of this year. Yes, the end of the world doomsday prophecy is supposed to come true with Lori and all her followers, and we don't even really know how many followers she has out there. We do have a hint at it from what happened after the police came to the home. So the police came to the home to do a welfare check on the parents. The parents would not produce the children to them. They didn't, and they really didn't have to. The police would have said, okay, the children are fine, and then they would have went away. But they explained it away, that where the children were. But then the police found out that was a lie, and when they came back to confront the parents about the lie, they found the parents had gone. They were gone. Everything was gone. They'd withdrawn large amounts of cash from the ATMs, and they were just gone. Nowhere to be found at all. So now, fast forward through all the twisted, searches and everything else. Idaho State Patrol, Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, Utah, Arizona. Everyone's searching for them. A nationwide bolo, be on the lookout, went out all across the United States for the children and for the parents. Now, in that bolo search, the following last names were listed for Lori or for Chad. The following, they had many different aliases that they were looking for at that time. Vallow, Daybell, Ryan, Denford, Madison, Carrill, Hunter, and Stanford. They were looking for, those were all listed on the bolo sheet that went out to law enforcement, and you may be able to find that online. I'm not sure. I haven't actually physically seen it. I just know from what the article that was on the Associated Press that listed them all. Don't listen to the media. In a lot of the media right now, a lot of people are speculating when it comes to what her religious beliefs are actually based on. There have been guesses that she has aligned her doomsday prophecy up to be more aligned, an offshoot of the Mormon Church. They have guessed that her doomsday prophecy aligns with the Heaven's Gate cult and their doomsday prophecy. And there are those who believe that her doomsday prophecy is closer to what David Koresh and his followers believed in. Now, right now, it is way too early to speculate on that because there is no real information, and we don't know just how many followers that she has out there. What is known for a fact right now, and I took these notes directly from the Associated Press, the news conferences that were just done yesterday, and other known information about Lori and about Chad. Neither one of them purchased the actual tickets, and the Boise Police, the Idaho State Police Department is currently seeking the individual who purchased those actual tickets for them. They may have, criminal charges down the road for aiding and abetting if they are charged with a crime. And yes, as you may notice from what I said, in case you're not aware, both the parents have been spotted and talked to and temporarily detained in Hawaii. They were both living in a home, not in a hotel. They were staying in a home that was rented on a monthly basis. It was a vacation home normally that people who stay there for extended stays. Maybe they're there for visit family or golfing or scuba diving, whatever they may be there for. But this is not somebody who place that somebody would rent if they were flying there and they were just going to spend like the weekend or so or a week. They had planned to be there a while. Now, there is a large portion of time between when they went missing and they vanished. The kids were gone, and then the parents vanished. There's a large portion of time between that and when they ended up in Hawaii. They've been in Hawaii for a while now. They had a rental car underneath another name. They had the plane tickets underneath another name, and somebody else purchased those tickets for them. All right. How were they caught? The police are not really going to give that tip out just yet on how they were actually caught, but something tripped them up. Now, since they've been in Hawaii, they have gone scuba diving. I'll turn my notes here. They've gone scuba diving, sightseeing on a tour bus. They've gone to visit the volcanoes. They've gone to a weekend, like couples. It's kind of like a gathering for people who may be interested in buying timeshares. They've gone to other social gatherings within the community. They've gone to two 2, mark it, 2 pool parties. And it needs to be said and be absolutely clear. There is no evidence that either of these children flew to Hawaii with either one of them or by themselves. Maybe the children had individual tickets and they picked them up from the airport. There's no tickets, there's no luggage, there's no evidence at all that the children ever made it to Hawaii. So the speculation is out there that they may have flown to Hawaii and they may have done something in Hawaii are completely unfounded. And why are they in Hawaii? Is that where all these gatherers are supposed to meet? We don't know. But here is the actual legal part of it right now. There is no, repeat, no warrants for either one of their arrests. Right now, all they had was a failure to comply, basically, with a CPS order, which is a misdemeanor. You're not going to be able to exit them back to Idaho for a misdemeanor because they refuse to talk to them. As a parent, if you live somewhere and CPS comes to your door and says, "Hey, give me your kids, or let me talk to your kids," you have the right to not allow them to do that on the initial contact. They can come back with a court order that says to compel you to want to talk to your children. But that was all that police had at this point. Was they compelled them to talk to them. They said, "Okay, produce the children in 5 days, or you could be found in contempt of court." When they separated them, Chad in one police car and Lori in another car, and the police talked to them, all they would say to the police at this point in time was, "I want my attorney. I am not answering questions." Both of them had pretty much the same rehearsed answer. They towed the car away. They searched the rental car for any evidence and then released the rental car back to them. Because the car was rented legally underneath somebody else's name. That means that the person who is renting the car, who has insurance, has to be there in Hawaii and was letting them use the car. All right, so they have followers or supporters there in Hawaii. So the car was returned. They asked to search their condominiums, their persons, and stuff like that. I don't know if they ever got the court order to search their condominium, but it may look like at the last hour the judge did sign off for looking for evidence of the children in plain sight in the condominium, not the condominium, but the house that they were renting. So they may have very well gotten it, but they weren't going to give them the right to dig through certain things. They could look and see what was in plain sight within the actual residency. So this story is so twisted, and there's so many different turns in it, and people have interjected themselves in this investigation that have completely sent the police off in a completely different direction, believing that that Lori and Chad had moved on to the Midwest of the United States and had joined a Korean church that they believe is a cult or has connections to this church. And everything sounded really plausible there for that. And also another one was like that Tylee was dead, and they went off in a tangent looking for a body in the Medford, Oregon area, and they never found any evidence that anybody had ever been to this exact location and may have buried a body anywhere there. But they went off on these tangents because people keep on interjecting themselves to the tip line and giving credible evidence, sending them here and there and everywhere. And this story is just twisting and turning. Tomorrow afternoon, we could find out that both of the kids are still sitting, a block away from home, and mom and dad went on vacation. They're sitting with the best friend. We don't know because so much of this is speculation right now. That what happened to the children? Where did they go? Are they safe? Are the grandparents just overstepping their bounds into the case and interjecting themselves into this? And they're like, you know what? Whoa, back the hell up. We've gone through a lot in the last year, and we really don't want grandparents who've never come and see the children or have a lot to do with them, interjecting themselves into this. Maybe that's what's really going on here. But we don't know. So we got to stay tuned. We got to keep on checking the story because we don't know what really is going on here. We do know is they've not broken any laws. Everything about what they have done so far has been completely legal within their rights as parents and everything else. But where are the children? It all comes down to that. Where are the children? And at the same time, think about this, if you're an American and you have the Bill of Rights and you have the Constitution of the United States behind you and protecting you. If the government came to your home right now and said, let me talk to your children, let me see your children, and they knocked on the door, and that's basically what the government was doing in these circumstances. Unprovoked, no reason really, except for a worried grandparent who lived about a couple hundred miles away, who couldn't drive there to go see the grandchildren, called in this thing so the CPS and the police would come knock on their door. That's all we know right now. Factually. If the government came knocking on your door, would you just give your children to the government? There are a lot of people out there who are scared. Scared of the government and what the government is going to do to them, and what the government is going to do to you, and what the government is going to do to their neighbors. And when you push people like this into a corner, there might be a switch that flips that's in their heads where they start thinking, this is it. This is the dawn. This is the end of days. When the government cracks down upon you. When the evil comes down and tries to force themselves into your lives. And they see the government as the evil entity. Would it be really surprising if Lori started to talk about, end of the earth prophecies? Because of what was going on. Everything that she knew was gone. Like that. She lost her husband. She lost her brother. Over a fight over petty shit. And then her best friend and confidant within her church, Chad, Daybell. Did they have a relationship beforehand? Yes, they had a friendship. And then he loses his wife in a tragic way. People die every day. I could die right now sitting in this chair talking to you. Would it be, weird circumstances? Would they come looking for my wife? Would the government then come knocking on my door demanding that I give up, or my wife gives up my child to speak to them so they can, interrogate that child when they're grieving? Because that's really what really happened here. And that's factual. If you look at the timeline of events, when one thing started to happen, the other thing started before the other one was ending. We don't know. What we do know right now is there are 2 children out there, and we have no idea where they are. And like I said, they could be a block away from where they lived this entire time. They didn't move anything out of the home. They just left. And they took out large amounts of cash, maybe because they were going on vacation to try to clear their minds. And so because the 2 of them are starting the life together. There is a completely whole other way to look at this entire thing. Thank you for joining me today. Check back for updates. And don't forget, you can give this channel a thumbs up if you like the video. Give it a thumbs down if you don't like the video. Leave a comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts on this. You can also support this channel by joining in membership here on YouTube, and you can join Patreon. Links to all that are in the description of every single video. And I thank you in advance.